This video is to help with angles and algebraic expressions. So remember, the first thing that we need to do with any of these algebraic expressions and angles is to identify what angle pair relationships we have. In problem number 1, I have a pair of vertical angles. And so we need to first remember, what does vertical angles tell us? Well, vertical angles tells us that the two angles are congruent, which means they have the same measure. And while 8x minus 11 and 21 don't look the same, we can say that they are the same, or we can say that they are equal to each other. So, 8x minus 11 is going to be equal to 21. Well, you should remember from your equations, we can simplify now and find the value of x. I will first add 11 to both sides of the equation. And we conclude that 8x is equal to 32. I can still simplify by dividing both sides by 8. And my value of x is equal to 4. Let's come back over to the problem. X is equal to 4. Now we can start to answer some of the pieces. The question tells me that MAT, or find the measure of MAT. MAT shares this line, which means that it would be supplemental to measure angle TAP. And since it's supplemental, TAP and TAM would both add up to 180 degrees. So TAM, I'm going to call x plus 21 would equal 180 degrees. (180) minus 21 from both sides. So that's going to be 159 degrees. And I like to write on my image, unless you are using a piece of paper where you're told you can't write on it, I go ahead and write all over my image so that I know exactly what the measures of various angles are. So MAT is 159 degrees. PAC. We should be able to see very clearly that PAC is a vertical angle to TAM, or MAT. So it would also has to be 159 degrees. TAP. We're already given TAP is 21 degrees. And MAC. Well, we know MAC is a vertical angle to TAP, so it would also be 21 degrees. Now, for those of you who are watching the videos, I am not going to work through the rest of the problems, but I am going to give you some slight hints here on a couple of them. The two angles we have here are supplementary angles, in which the two angles would add up to be 180 degrees. So I could say 12.3x minus 4.5 plus 5x plus 80.7 has got to equal 180 degrees. Simplify and solve for x, and you should end up with a solution. Problem number 3, the measure of HIT is 160 degrees. So in this case, we have two angles that are adjacent that are going to add up to 160 degrees. So 25x minus 40 plus 15x plus 30 would equal 160. Solve for x. on the back side, the worksheet tells us that if BHA, I'm going to show you the graph so I can be able to point over here, or sorry, the image. If BHA is equal to 2x minus 14 and BHC is equal to 50 degrees, what is x? Well, we can clearly see I have an angle down here marked as 90 degrees, and it shares line CG, intersects with line AE. So on line CG, that would be 180 degrees. So these three angles would add up to 180 degrees. AHG is 90 degrees, which means these other two remaining angles have to add up to 90 degrees. So I could say 2x minus 14 plus 50 is going to equal 90 degrees. Combine my like terms, so 2x plus 36 equals 90. Subtract 36 from both sides. And we divide by 2 on both sides. So my value of x is 27. Now when it asks for what the value of BHA is, I have two options. One, I know that these two angles have to equal 90 degrees. One of them is 50, so the other one has to be 40. Or my other option is I take my value 27, which we just determined x to be, and I plug it into the expression. 27 times 2 minus 14 is also going to equal 40. You should be able to finish up the remainder of the worksheet using the same logic and then check your answers when you're complete.